I'm James Cridland, the radio futurologist, and every week or so I do a newsletter all about the future of radio. And this is it from January the 29th, 2025, Triple J's Hottest 100 and Apple's radio stations. Triple J, the ABC's youth station, celebrated its 50th birthday last week. The Sydney Morning Herald has written a potted history of the station, but suggests it's doing badly in the ratings and, well, more opportunity to bash the ABC, I would suspect. It isn't mentioned, of course, that the SMH is owned by Nine Networks, which has a radio business that competes with the ABC. Former breakfast host Will Anderson says in the piece that the ABC should not make any decisions with ratings in mind, which is nice, but wrong. Because, of course, there should be ratings in mind with all of the ABC's decisions. An unlistened to radio station is bad value for money and should be closed, no matter how worthy its aims might be. It also ran its Hottest 100 last weekend. My 12-year-old was captivated and insisted on listening, and luckily for her, Taylor Swift made it into the chart for the first time, and Chapel Roan was the number one, a decision she agreed with. We had Triple J at Next Radio 2018 explaining what the big deal was and what their learnings were from then. Not least, don't do outside broadcasts. You know how big a radio station's event is when Domino's Pizza sends you an email containing special offers for your listening party. And for the doubters about radio's future out there, the number one this year got the highest number of votes ever. So did the number two, and every song in the top four would have won the countdown last year with the number of votes received. As proof, perhaps, that live and local isn't the strategy to follow, the local television station London Live went off the air earlier this week. It's 10 years old and produced plenty of live and local programming in its earlier days. But London, I think, is too big to be local. I blogged about my experiment in hyper-local websites last year. Mine focused on one postal area in London, N14, and there are 121 postal areas in London. And something talking about N14 I think is hyper-local, but living in London for 15 years, I only ever visited Croydon twice. I never visited Hounslow until I stayed in a cheap hotel near there last year. And there are plenty of other parts of London to which I have no knowledge or interest. And I wonder whether the live and local mantra really works in a big city like London. Apple added 3 new radio stations: Apple Musica Uno, Apple Music Club and Apple Music Chill. You might justifiably suggest that Apple's radio stations really aren't that exciting. Listening figures are unknown, but name anyone who's heard something recently on Apple Music One, its flagship service. Go on, I'll wait. No? No. Well, however, using Apple Music last year, I was impressed at the wealth of on-demand shows that exist in that service. If you search for Taylor Swift or the Beatles, for example, then you get a number of deep dive shows that play the songs, but also tell you things you didn't know about the music, taken, of course, from Apple's radio stations. If you think of Apple's radio stations as ways to generate unique additional content, then they seem to be a bright idea, and you don't get that with Spotify, after all. Thank you to my many supporters, including Greg Strassel, Sam Phelps, Richard Hilton, Emma Gibbs, Jocelyn Abbey and James Masterton for being regular supporters. There's a big list on the website as well. If you would like to support my work in any way, you can buy me a coffee, buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland. You can either give regularly or just give a one-off coffee or 5 if you like. And there's also a direct way with Stripe as well if you don't want to do the whole buy me a coffee thing. That's all fine too, and you'll find that linked in the show notes. I'm on Blue Sky if you want to follow me there, james.crid.land, or on Mastodon as james@bne.social. And my website is james.cridland.net with more details about who I am and what I do, and if I can help you further. But until next time, keep listening.